Welcome again to Fireside Stories with Danny Mcleod. This newest story is called The Bloody Cordwainer. Oi, you don't go travelling without a destination. The Bloody Cordwainer, that's why. Why are you looking at me like you don't know? You don't? Well, you best do if you're going to be travelling. Maybe find a good place to sit. Alright, well, we'll have to tell you a bit about our people for you to really get this tale. Now, old King Brock, the Bountiful, he's been around a while, but he's not the first to be respected by all the clans. Not all of them have claimed the title of king. There's Edward the Daft and Robert the Solid. One of the oldest, who truly had the ear of all the clans, was Shiahan the Wall. The man was destined to defend the entire lands of the clans from outsiders nearly by himself. He wasn't always that way, though. He was the son of a tanner, and anyone who's been to a tannery can tell you that it's not somewhere you want to be if you have any other choice. So young Shiahan had decided at the age of 12 that he wasn't going to have anything to do with his family business. So off he goes with no plan out into the world. He wanders the backwoods from the dark waters of Wascarora all the way to the deadlands of Tari and Marsh. No one is quite sure where it happened, but the story goes a bit like this. One night during the Mirror War, with the Albions pushing in from the south and the Svalbard raiding our coasts in the north, young Shiahan had decided to bed down in a small grove of trees. He had nothing of value, and no destination to speak of. He was simply lazing about in the forest. During the night he gets a chill in his blankets. He starts a fire. The fire warms his hands, but the cold that night went straight to the bone. So he's warming himself, and he hears a sound in the distance. To him it sounds like a person slogging through the muck. Shiahan thinks a little of it. He has nothing to steal, and if it happens to be someone looking for a fight, he's always ready to give them that gift. Spare minutes later, he sees a small figure approach, their shoes and stockings obviously wet. Shiahan greets the other traveler well. He offers them what hospitality he can, the warmth of the fire, and the small shelter that the trees are affording. The stranger greets Shiahan back and accepts the offer. They spend several minutes warming themselves and holding polite conversation. The stranger tells Shiahan about the war in the south, and how one of our land's best had been ruthlessly cut down before his time. The stranger had been ordered to find someone who could replace them. Now, while the stranger hadn't mentioned anything about the courts of the Feyfolk, Shiahan wasn't a fool. He could tell there was a whiff of the winter court about this character. He followed the rules. He was polite. He was uninteresting and uninterested. He did not accept any offers, nor did he eat any food or drink around the stranger. After a couple hours of warming themselves in polite conversation, the stranger proposed sleep. Shiahan nodded to the stranger and agreed that the time was late and they should get to their rest before parting tomorrow. The young Shiahan went to his bedding and bid the stranger a polite farewell. That night, deep in the dark of it, Shiahan woke up. His body was unmoving. He couldn't lift his arms or legs. He spotted the shadow of the stranger, still outlined by the firelight, sharpening a small knife. Shiahan tried to speak, and after several struggling minutes managed to make enough noise to draw attention from the stranger. The stranger addressed him. "Young Shiahan, you may speak." With that, the young man could speak again. Shiahan said to the stranger, "What are you doing?" The stranger replied, "Bringing you a purposeful soul." You can't do that. There are rules. You Fae folk have to live by them. Stranger responded. I am not of the Fae, Shiahan. I am much like you, a man who had little purpose or direction in life, until the courts gave me one. Shiahan became more panicked and said, What are you? I am the mortal ambassador for the court's brownies, the Winter Court Cordwainer. I have been sent to correct some of the Queen's games. One of her pieces was unfairly removed from her favor. You, Shiahan, are to be her newest piece. I don't want to. The stranger looked down at Shiahan and stated simply, I am no Fae. I have no need for the consent from those who drift through destiny. Look at your feet. Shiahan's head moved on its own to stare at his feet. They looked mostly the same, only a chain of fine stitching around the sides would indicate that anything had happened. The stranger spoke once more. You now have a path, like the one I was given. Tread it fully, and win the favor of the Queen. With that, the stranger disappeared like a shadow in the night. From that day forward, Shiahan would find himself in fights that would eventually lead him, driving both the Albion and the Svalgard from the clan's lands. He'd fight alongside every clan, and, if the more fantastic stories are to be believed, even fought alongside with the unwieldy beasts of this land against its invaders. No one knows what happened to Shiahan the wall after the Mirror War, but many think he was asked to the Queen's court and is still there to this day. And that concludes the story of the Bloody Cordwainer. Thank you for listening, and I hope you all have a very nice day.